Today I want to talk about a crazy Ezra Bridger theory, with the announcement of the Ahsoka Tano series and the fact that Dave Filoni is writing this series. We know that there's a really good chance that in some capacity we're going to see Ezra in this show. Unfortunately, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense if Ezra Bridger is a main character in this series. I mean, Ahsoka Tano is a very popular character, but to have Ezra also included in this series as a Jedi, I think that would just be a little too much. Don't get me wrong, I love Ezra Bridger and I'd love to see him in this series, but I think if he is going to be in the series, well, I think there's a really good chance that Ezra may have fallen to the dark side, and he could be an antagonist alongside Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, I'm certainly not the first to propose this, however, I think I'm coming at this from a brand new angle, and that is the fact that Star Wars in a large way is a story about redemption. Yes, when I mention redemption, everybody just thinks about Darth Vader and him redeeming himself, destroying the Emperor, saving the galaxy, and his son. There is also, of course, the very similar storyline of Ben Solo, but we can also look at The Mandalorian. It is a story of redemption. Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, well, he inspires the Mandalorian to become more of a selfless individual and to think not just about himself, but to actually go against the bounty hunter's code and rescue the little guy. But there's even more in The Mandalorian than that. Look at Greef Karga. In season 1, Greef goes from being the head of the bounty hunters guild to season 2 of The Mandalorian, where he's become a magistrate of sorts and has turned Navarro into a prosperous location in the Outer Rim. Greef, like Din Djarin, was inspired by Baby Grogu, and it's led to his redemption. So what exactly does all of this have to do with Ezra Bridger in the Ahsoka series? Well, if Ezra has fallen to the dark side, or he's even just been influenced by the dark side, certainly it would be interesting to see a redemption arc for the character. I mean, when you stop and think about it, what would be the most difficult thing for Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren to do in the Ahsoka series? Personally, I think just tracking down Thrawn and Ezra, plus defeating Thrawn and his machinations, whatever those might be, well, that's a little too simple of a storyline. But if you throw in the fact that they not only have to track down Thrawn and Ezra, then they have to defeat Thrawn, and in the process of defeating Thrawn, they have to somehow get their friend back, bring him back from the dark side, and get him back on track. Now that, my friends, is sounding more like a challenge for Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren. Not to mention that if Thrawn is really the big bad guy, and all our heroes from the Filoniverse are going to need to come together to defeat him, wouldn't it be interesting if Sabine and Ahsoka are trying to convince characters like Boba Fett and Din Djarin that Ezra Bridger is actually a good individual and that he needs to be rescued, despite the fact that he would be the most dangerous weapon that Thrawn would have. And certainly if we look at the heroes side and they have people like Sabine Wren, Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, and even Boba Fett, well, that's a lot of hero power, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that somebody like Thrawn is going to be able to stand up to them. I mean, yes, Thrawn is a master tactician, but a character like Ahsoka Tano, well, she's next level powerful, and I'm not sure if Thrawn alone would be able to out-strategize Ahsoka. However, if he had a Force user like Ezra Bridger on his side, now that would definitely balance things out a little bit and give Thrawn much more of an ability to fight off all these heroes. Of course, the big argument here against this theory is that Ezra Bridger has already had a redemption arc in Star Wars Rebels. He naively thought that he could use Darkside powers to defeat the Sith, and if it wasn't for the people around him, he would have fallen to the dark side. Dave Filoni himself has suggested this, and that the Ezra Bridger character was a contrast to Anakin Skywalker, who didn't have that support around him in his time of need. And certainly I can see that point of view. I'm a huge Ezra Bridger fan, and I really wouldn't want to see him attacking Ahsoka Tano, but you have to admit that it would make for an interesting story as long as Dave Filoni did it the right way. But hey, Star Wars fans, what do you think of my crazy Ezra Bridger theory? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I'm Mike, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.